Against the Pull by Fox and the Star. They say if you imprint, your life is pretty much set ahead for you. What happens when nature brings you someone that isn't your imprint, but could be your soulmate? Nothing but trouble. Jacob O.C. 1. We drove through the rainy town, listening to Morris Brown by Outkast, as Mom hummed happily along to the song. My skin tingled as I looked around the small town, half excited, half afraid of what my first few actual days in America would be like. My whole new, stable life. I was born in La Push, and lived here until I was 2 days old. Then, the start of my dad's stint as part of the UN had begun. He wanted to see the world, and do what he did best. Heal people. But it ended abruptly last month, when my mom decided she would fight for custody. Because my life was unstable, traveling the world with Dad to dangerous countries and risking my life. It's beautiful, the rain. God knows we need it in other places right now, too, she smiled. I smiled meekly and looked back out the window. God, I had never seen so much water in my life before. Making the transition from deserts and dry sunburned land to a green watery wonderland was weird, but beautiful in a strange way. The constant soft pitter-patter of rain comforted me. So Luca, you'll be starting at the school I teach on Monday. It's here in La Push as well. You'll get along with the kids fine, and you'll blend in well also. She patted my leg. The fact that I was only half Native American scared me. Most of these kids grew up learning about their culture since birth. When I was playing tag with kids in Mawali, the only thing I had similar to them was my tan skin and long black hair, but the resemblance ended there. Mom slowed down the car beside a group of guys, walking around in shorts and tank tops. They all seemed unaware of the fact that it was raining and was extremely cold. "Hi, boys! Aren't you cold?" Mom asked, rolling down her window. They smiled and crouched down to speak through the window. "No, we don't really feel the cold anymore," one guy said, his brown eyes looking straight at me. "Okay, Jacob, Quill, and Embry, meet my daughter Luca. She just got back from Saudi Arabia. She's going to live with me now," she smiled, as I looked back out and smiled meekly again. "She's just as beautiful as you described her," the guy who seemed to be Jacob said, smiling warmly, as Quill and Embry burst into laughter. I rolled my eyes and turned the other way, smiling. "Well, you better get inside. Don't want you to catch a cold," she smiled. "Bye, boys," she waved, winding up the window. "Who are they?" I asked, a faint blush fading from my face. "Oh, they're some of the boys that go to La Push. Nice boys. They really are. Actually, I'm going to drop you off at Sam Yuli's house. Your cousin Emily lives there, and I'm pretty sure she'll be extra excited to see your little doll all grown up," she laughed, turning down a long street lined with pretty houses and trees everywhere. It seemed that there were whole forests that separated each house. She turned swiftly into a driveway and stopped the car. "Okay, you go inside, and when you want to go home, just ask Emily. She'll walk you there," she smiled, leaning in to kiss my forehead. "I'm so happy you're finally here. You can learn about us now." She smiled more brightly. I smiled back, aching for my father. He was all alone, the look of dismay in his face when the judge made the decision. "I'll see you after work, Mom," I said, the last word tumbling out of my mouth awkwardly. I got out and grabbed my bags and walked towards the large door that looked like it was made for some superhuman. I knocked and waited, as a feminine voice called, "Coming! Who is it?" she called, rushing to the door and swinging it open. Hi. I was wondering if Emily was here. I'm Luca Smith," I said. The girl was pretty, but had a scar that pulled down one half of her friendly face into a scowl. She smiled brightly and opened her arms, covering me in a suffocating hug. "Oh my! I cannot believe how beautiful you've become. Do you remember me? I used to pretend to be your mom when you were a baby?" She smiled. Come in," she gestured. I leaned down to take my bag, but she slapped my hand away. "I'll get the boys to take them." "Jake! Jake!" The group of boys we had seen driving down had come out, holding a pretty little girl. I smiled at her as she ran towards me and hugged me. Jake walked towards me surprised and bent down to get my bag. "Hi, little one. What's your name?" I smiled as she held her hand up to me, wanting to be picked up. I lifted her up and she touched my face. I instantly had a vision of a guy and me kissing. He was warm and gentle, his tanned arms holding me tight. Just as he turned around, the vision was gone. I blinked and looked down at the little girl, amazed. "Nessie, don't do that, please," Jake said, smiling politely and grabbing her away from me. I looked at her with awe, as she sucked her thumb and leaned on his chest. Emily interrupted the tense feeling in the room by grabbing my hand. "So let me get you some food. I don't know what your dad has been feeding you, but I make the meanest blueberry muffins," she smiled. She turned to Jacob and Nessie. "I think you should talk to Sam," she said seriously. "Jacob." I looked at Nessie as she leaned on me. "How could you want that?" I asked, patting her hair gently. I walked back into the backyard where Sam was standing. "It's the natural order of things coming to bite you back in the arse," he answered, answering me instantly. I looked at him with a puzzled look written on my face. Natural order? I asked. She is a descendant of the third wife's family. What did you expect? He hummed. Is it even possible to even look at another girl when you've imprinted? I asked. I knew I was attracted to her, and I knew I wasn't supposed to care about other girls when I had an imprint. You're living proof, he breathed, his mind drifting to Leia, no doubt. But I don't want to be. I replied. I don't know. We'll talk to old Quill, he said, walking inside. I stood out with Nessie. She reached and placed her hand on my cheek. I saw me, holding a girl that looked to be Luca, kissing. I wanted it to stop. I didn't want to see any more, but Nessie wouldn't let me. Stop it, I growled. It won't happen, I mumbled to myself as she took her hand off my cheek. It won't happen, I whispered. Hey, hey, hey! So, I'm going to pretty much explain myself here. Lol. I've decided there are way too much imprinting stories. Not that I don't like them, on the contrary. I love them. But I wondered what would happen if someone who has imprinted fell in love with someone else, and thus, this story was created. Please read and review. Tell me what you think. XX Lala!